Welcome back, everybody, to the once again the better late than never version of the Fighting's Final here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy Matty B on the call. And the Phillies have finished officially the month of July under 500, 11-12 for the month of July. A game that was mired in a rain delay and then probably was washed away with the big news of the trade that occurred during the game. The Phillies fumbled their way through a 9-3 loss to the Chicago White Sox, dropping the series to the lowly White Sox. They've got themselves a closer. I don't know what you're going to do with a closer in a 9-3 game, but the Phillies got themselves a closer. And obviously that's going to be part of our conversation tonight. But this game, once again, we get into this sixth cycle of not being able to produce any sort of offense other than the long ball. And then Taijuan Walker, just as the ink wasn't even dry on the paperwork, sending Mick Abel out of here, he got Taijuan Walker launching, giving up 2 3-run homers, making you instantly miss the former first-round draft pick of the Phillies as he's now on his way to Minnesota, and we're stuck with Taijuan Walker. And I guess the first question would be about Taijuan. Taijuan on the evening tonight, a lowly. What was his line? 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs. They were earned. No walks, no strikeouts. Gave up 2 home runs and 80 pitches through those 5 innings. Tanner Banks came on for an inning of whatever, followed up by Max Lazar, his inning of what, or his third of an inning of whatever. Seth Johnson, whatever. He gave up a home run. So did Lazar. Alan Rangel, whatever, as he comes in at the end. Phillies pitching gives up 4 home runs tonight. The Phillies pitching staff has now surrendered 125 home runs in 2024. Taijuan Walker definitely out in front in that race too. He's one of the top 3 in surrendering of home runs. And now that Mick Abel is gone, is now the Andrew Painter pressure, amped up even more, because how much longer can we endure Taijuan Walker in the starting rotation, as he just once again was Taijuan Walker. For the White Sox, Alexander, almost like I guess it was sort of like a bullpen game, all right? I mean, they had that 3-hour rain delay. Alexander, 3 1/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. He struck out 3 and he walked 1. Vasil, Ezert, and Wilson in relief of the White Sox as they cruised to a 9-3 victory over the hapless Phillies, who have themselves a closer. Did I say we have a closer? As we're definitely going to be getting into that as well. See you at 11. I'm here. I'm here, Barbara. A little late, but I'm here. Ricky, it's always a pleasure. They can ship Walker out too. I don't know who in the hell is going to take him, Joe Hale. Honestly, who's taking Taijuan Walker off our hands? And I guess it's at this point, it's just to get to October. Let's try to get out. I don't think we can, but I don't think we can be on cruise control. We haven't earned anything yet. Phillies finished the month of July 11-12, under 500 for the month of July. Their first official below 500 baseball month of the season. Was it April? Or I should say, what was it? March? What the hell is this? March, they were 3-1, 14-12 in April, 19-9 in May. 14-13 last month, now 11-12 for July. Yeah, you take that May out of there. This is not a World Series contending baseball team by their record, if you take the month of May out. And but we got a closer. What hell of a closer going to do tonight? But we got a closer, and we are now paper thin. I mean, paper thin at catching depth within this organization. So we'll get into the trade a little bit later on. But let's continue on with this game. Painter pitched good yesterday. He pitched good. Was that yesterday? It's today. He pitched today, Joe. I watched it. It was up in Worcester against them guys. He pitched 7 innings. Went over 100 pitches. 101 or 2. Or he pitched 6 innings. I don't like that either. I don't like 101 pitches in 6 innings. That's a little bit of labored. But you know what? Painter needs that. Painter needs to stretch that arm out. But he pitched all right. Got no run support from the rest of the Iron Pigs, but he pitched okay. Great deal. This kid is under control for 2 to 3 years. Is he really, though, Michael Papernick? Is he really? He's under control through 2027, and that is barring, of course, if there is a 2027, due to a potential strike/lockout, labor dispute after December 1st, 2026, when the CBA expires. And again, we're going to get into this. I get it. The trade in itself, on the surface, looks pretty manageable. You give up Mick Abel, who, let's face it, 13th overall pick back in 2020, 6 years in the minor leagues. Doesn't seem to be kind of, getting the axles moving in the right direction, velocity problems, command issues. Kind of put it together like sort of the halfway point of last season, rode that into an MLB debut. The Phillies pulled the plug, I think, a little too early on that, sent him back down to the minors, and now they ship him off to Minnesota, which I just hope it doesn't work out the last time the Phillies gave up too soon on a pitcher. And you guys remember his name, Gavin Floyd? He had himself a pretty damn good career after the Phillies sent him out of here. But again, as it stands right now, I'm not losing sleep over Gavin Floyd. I'm not losing sleep over Mick Abel. I'm not. The Phillies got themselves a workhorse closer in Johan Durant. They did, who is under control for at least next year. Let's not look past 2026 with all the uncertainty in the labor world. Let's not look past that. But he is under control through 2026, and he's a closer. And maybe this is more of a move for next year than anything else. This team's a mess right now. This team is a mess, and the closer today is not going to fix it offensively. Once again, the offensive woes. Is there another trade forthcoming? Are we done pilfering the friggin' minor leagues, or is there more deals coming? I hope there is. I hope there's an offensive trade out there. This is not getting you to the World Series. Again, what's Rob Thompson going to do to this kid's rods and cones? Hey, Johan, we know you're a closer, but tonight, buddy, we're going to pitch you in the sixth inning. That's right. We're going to pitch you in the sixth inning because that's what we do here. We don't necessarily do anything by the book. But yeah, I mean, Mick Abel, I'm okay with that. I am not okay with Eduardo Tait. All right. This is the second blue chip catcher that this GM / president of whatever he is has sent out of here in the last 3 years. If you can tell me another organization anywhere in baseball that is paper thin at catching than we are, I'd like to know who they are, because we have absolutely nothing left in the cupboards in the catching world. Now, Farbus, who is the we talked about him on the Down the Fightins Farm, or Down the Phillies Farm segment. He's down in the FCL. He had a good rookie year. When I say rookie, I mean rookie. And I guess right now he is kind of rocketed up to the top of the catching depth chart within the organization. Jordan Disson is a distant number 2. He plays in Reading. And then you got a bunch of tweeners. You got Peyton Henry, and you got Garrett Stubbs, Rafael Marchand, and JT Realmuto. That's a mess. That's a mess of catching. And they did draft 2 catchers this year late in the rounds, but and I know Tait's maybe 3 years away. But I'm asking again, is this the trade that we're waiting for? Is this guy, is he going to come in? Does he bat? I mean, does Johan Durant also bat? Can I use him offensively? Because that's where I really need some help. I'm not losing sleep. If it was a 1-for-1 for Abel for this guy, yeah, I'd be okay with it. I don't like the trade. I don't really like getting rid of more catching depth and a potential another blue chipper. We were lucky enough to survive getting rid of Ohapi. We had this kid waiting in the wings. Now he's gone. We got one more potential blue chipper in Farabus way down the line. I mean, he's way down there. This also probably puts JT Realmuto in the goddamn driver's seat for a new contract. So I would love Dave Dombrowski to maybe write it up, type it up, man, put it on a Excel spreadsheet, a Word doc, something. What is the catching philosophy of the organization? What are they attempting to do with that position other than drive it into the ground? If maybe a bat was attached to this trade, maybe I feel better about it. I think we overpaid. Not today, not tomorrow, but probably within the next 3 years. And I'm all about looking at the future. And this trade is not the trade that's going to send us into the World Series. But on paper, it's good. What's Durant's numbers here heading into now with Johan Durant is 6-4 on the season, 2.01 ERA, 49 games appeared, 16 saves, and has pitched 49 innings, 49.1 innings. So, yeah, he's got the stuff. And, yeah, maybe for next year when we maybe can kind of rebuild this team a little bit, it'll be better. But and is he the absolute, safety net of Jose Alvarado? Yeah, I got you, man. I'm okay with the trade. I'm not okay with losing a blue chip catching prospect in Tite. I really ain't. Sorry. Now let's see if the only full manager uses the guy as a closer. That's the big question, right? that's the big unknown here. Is what this guy's going to actually close. We need a closer. Really? We need a manager that uses a closer. Let's go there first. But if nothing else fails, Papernick, if nothing else works here, at least when they fire Rob Thompson, they bring in another manager. Hopefully that guy actually says, I got a closer, and I'm going to use him that way. He's got a closer mentality. I don't know how is that going to pay off in the 6th inning. If this guy's brought in the pitch in the 7th or 8th, his psyche is done. Yeah, but not according to Rob Thompson. It's analytics rule the day. Analytics rule the day. Hopefully Durant allows the BP to get some sort of order, and the guys get roles now. No, why? They're not. They could have done that last year when they had 3 back-end guys. They had 3 back-of-the-end bullpen type pitchers last season, and they didn't get a role. Now they got 1. Are they really going to do that now? Is Rob Thompson going to go against everything? Maybe he does. Maybe this is one of the lessons that Rob Thompson has learned. And we are going to assign roles. And that'd be great. And that would be 100%. But in a game like this, 9-3, where your starting pitching was direct, your offense was inconsistent, a closer is not helping me out 9-3 against the White Sox. Lost the series against the White Sox. Finished the month under 500. Closer be damned. I get you there. And maybe, as I said, maybe later down the line this thing pays off. But right now, I'm left with wanting more, because I just don't see how this trade is going to get us to where we are. And we gave up yet again another blue chip catching prospect. I can't understand why. Is Dave Dombrowski, is this his linebacker to Howie Roseman? Is they don't care about catchers as the Phillies don't care, or the Eagles don't care about linebackers? I mean, is that where we're at right now? Phone lines are not open on this show, Ricky. This is the Fighting's Final. Phone lines are open on my show, Final Word, which will not be seen tonight, as I am doing post-game duties. I like the fact Abel will get a chance in Minnesota. I think Mick Abel's going to have a serviceable career. Now, what that might be and what his ceiling is, time will tell. He's got to figure out the velocity problems. He's got to figure out the command. But when he does, or if he does, he's going to be a serviceable 4. I think maybe the ceiling on him might be a 3. Maybe. He'll never be the ace that they wanted him to be. I don't think he is. But, a 4 or 5, that might be it there. But still, this has a domino effect on the Phillies pitching situation in the future. And hopefully it doesn't turn on the intensity to Andrew Painter. Because there is no buffer now between Andrew Painter and the Phillies. Now it's going to be a matter of when we're going to see Painter. When's Painter coming? And I get that, but I just hope that doesn't have a negative byproduct to it. Dombrowski trading tells me that Realmuto will probably be back. It's sure as hell better. I don't know what else we're going to do. Again, I kind of went over very briefly the catching depth chart within the organization, and it ain't looking too MLB ready. Jordan Disson is probably the next, if you're excluding Garrett Stubbs and Peyton Henry, 2 tweeners stuck down in AAA. Jordan Disson is the next one, which is a homegrown guy. He's in Reading, but he's a distant number 2 on that list. And in most organizations that have proper catching depth, he's like a 5. So there is no catching help coming internally for at least the next 4 or 5 years, when this kid Farabus, maybe if he can catch hold of some things and start his journey up, until he gets traded at some future trade deadline when we're looking to get a setup guy. I don't know, but It's somewhat laughable. I have a new whipping boy. It's Logan. I can let Logan O'Hoppe go now. Now it's Eduardo Taiit. Now I'm going after that. Now it's going to be on the mishandling of not just O'Hoppe, but of the entire catching situation in this organization. They had a chance to draft in Luke Stevenson. I thought he was a stud out of North Carolina early on. Maybe they could have got. I thought taking him at 30 or at 26 was it? They picked 26. I thought that was a fair place to put him in the first round of this past draft, but they passed on him. Ended up drafting 100,000 pitchers, a shortstop, an outfielder, and 2 catchers, like in rounds 15 and 17. So obviously the catcher position is not a need here in this organization, which I really can't understand why that is the point. I think the Phillies will make a move for bat. They better, Joe, because again, a closer ain't doing nothing for you today. Absolutely not a thing. The Phillies need another reliever and an outfielder still. No more relievers. Michael Papernick, I'm not giving up any more prospects for any more relievers. Listen, I'm rolling with what we got. I was prepared to roll with what we got before we picked up Johan Duran. I honestly didn't want him. I didn't want another reliever. I need some offense, man. I would have felt better. Stephen Kwan for Mick Abel and Eduardo Taiit. I would have been able to digest that one better. I don't see the need for multiple reasons why they brought a closer here. I like it, and it's a good move potentially for the future, but this is not the piece that's missing. The closer is not the piece that's missing. Go through these games, and boy, I do, every single one of them. And it's the same MO with this team. And very rarely do you insert blew a lead late. It happens. But what happens more is couldn't have offense sustained throughout the game. Got dominated by a career pitcher who's got like a 7.3 ERA and then feasted on weaker teams' bullpens. That is the Phillies' legit MO. Yes, there's a few of them in there that says blew a lead late, but not enough to get me excited or concerned about our pitching at the back end of games. It's great you picked them up. I thought it was a little too high of a price to pay for one closer. And now still no offensive help coming. Oh, well, maybe there is. So we got 24 hours, 16 hours, whatever it is, until the deadline gets here. I thought we gave up too much for a closer when we're more than just a closer away. Now we're into friggin' the trade here. Well, did you say that you're not looking past 2016 because if the lockout, that will probably happen? Who cares about the prospects? See, again, this is what I don't get from homers. I honestly can't understand this philosophy, Steve. Did you not live through 2013 to 2018? Did you not go through those periods? You know what? Maybe it's me because I got a little bit more, wear on the tires. I've been through the mid 80s. I've been through the mid 90s, the late 90s. I've been through those times, and they are terrible times when everything is drained away and you have nothing. There's an absolute possible way to maintain a balance between what's happening on the parent club and what's developing in the minor leagues. And when you have the 4th highest payroll in Major League Baseball, to go consistently into your minor league system and pilfer it from your top 2, what is it? This is the first time that an MLB team has traded 2 top 100 prospects in the MLB pipeline since something like 2015 or something like that. I saw that earlier. But when you are the 4th highest payroll in this league and you got to go into your friggin' system and pilfer it with 2 potentially good players, Mick Abel might not pan out. I don't think he was ever going to pan out what we wanted him to be. But when you have to constantly do that, something is not right. Something's not right. And no, I am not pushing my friggin' chips in for one possible chance to go down Broad Street. Woohoo! What about sustained excellence? What about consistent winning? What about a balance between what's happening in the major leagues versus what's going on in the minor leagues? Thank God you're not an owner, or I shouldn't say an owner. You probably would make $1 million, but thank God you're not a GM. And half of you out there aren't GMs. Half of you that want to blow up the minor league system for a chance when we're multiple players away from winning anything, But we're going to trade away a blue chip catching two blue chip catching prospects over the past 3 years. And that's gotten us nowhere at this point. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Thank you. I love Duran's split finger fastball on his curve is good. Can he hit? What's his batting average? Because that's what I need to see. Watching some of the White Sox young players, and they have a couple good ones. They did have me thinking Crawford, Painter, Miller, Raccoon Jr., we are allowed to dream. Be careful, Michael Pappernick, because the Steve Fuentes and Fentezes of the world want those players gone for a fleeting opportunity to win a World Series. He doesn't want to establish any kind of balance, right? We don't want that here. We want to push it all in all the time and just get up and then bitch about it when we fall into the dark ages about why we don't have no prospects or why we have nothing in the minor league system. Be careful what you say. I don't want you to get, run in by the Homer Gestapo. I really don't. Because you can't say those things you can say these things on this show, of course, because this is Switzerland. Or actually, this ain't Switzerland. This is America. Oh, man. Matt, who do you think is better, Duran or Hess? And yeah, that's right. He's now a Met, right? I mean, Barbara, listen, I'm going off on a tangent because that's what I do. But I'm okay in essence with this trade. I really am. I'm having a little heartburn with getting rid of the catcher. It's just, I haven't gotten over Logan O'Hoppe yet. Now I got to get over this guy. So I'm not okay with that. But as far as what we got in return, he's a good young player. And he's got team control at least for the next year or two, depending on what happens beyond 2026. I'm okay with it. I really am. I think giving up Taillon was a little too much for me. I wouldn't have made that deal. I would have loved to have been in the room for this negotiation, the bidding war that was probably going on and who was on the table, off the table. I know the Dodgers were rumored to be the other, or I'm sure there was more than just two teams, but the Dodgers were rumored to be hot and heavy on this kid too. So I'd love to have seen what the Twins initially wanted versus what Dombrowski was going to give them and how far back and forth and how many times they had scratched names off papers in order to make this deal happen. But I think in essence, obviously to get a closer, if he's used as a closer, again, that's a big asterisk too. If he's used as a closer, I think this solves our closer problem for the next at least 2 seasons, right? It does. But the question is, I'm going to throw it back out to everybody. Is this the missing piece? Is this going to solve all this team's ilk? 11-12 for the month of July. No one wants to talk about that. 11-12 for the month of July. Under 500 for the month of July. They were 10-13 last July. I guess they're having some issues with the month of July lately, but 11-12, under 500. And if that doesn't concern you, and not you personally, Barbara, but you as a fan and everybody else, I don't know what to say because I don't know if a closer is coming in and fixing that. I don't know how many of those 12 losses, and I could probably find out for you, were because of the bullpen imploding down the stretch and not having a closer inserted at the right particular moment in time. Again, the right particular moment of time is the key word here, and that manager doesn't necessarily do that. So the MO of this team is not blowing games late. The MO of this team is not being able to score runs consistently or being able to hit and move runners on and around the diamond consistently. That's the MO of this team, and that still is the MO, and that still has not been fixed. And I thought maybe we could squeeze a little bit more out of this for what we gave up. A utility guy? I don't know. Joe Mauer? I know he's retired. I'll take him. We can throw him in there. I mean, come on. Thought we can get more. The Mets traded for 3 relievers this week. They're trying to fix their problem. Isn't their problem more of starting pitching, though? Duran closes Strem in the 8th and Ryan in the 7th. That's terrible. It's terrible, Barbara. Come on. Is this Rob Thompson's burner account? Get Strom out of the 8th inning. Put Strom in the 6th inning. Put a Kirkering in the 8th. And I don't even know Seth Johnson in the 7th. I don't even know who the 7th inning guy would be. I guess you could use Alvarado for now until the postseason starts. But no, man, Matt Strom in the 8th? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, the GM wants to win now who is willing to trade away pieces in order to get pieces, not hoard a bunch of kids who God knows how good they will be. I say, thank God you're not a GM. Well, so here's the thing, Steve. In your world, in your philosophy, they've won 2 world championships in 143 years. So maybe they should try it my way for once. Maybe things would work out better. Again, I'm just saying there can be a balance. It doesn't have to give up everything. Because again, if you're saying that this pilferage of the minor leagues, and if it continues through tomorrow with another trade or 2 or 3, then are you banking on everything working in 2025? What happens if they don't get past the first round? What happens if they don't get to the playoffs, for God's sakes? And then these contracts start coming due. I am not prepared to mortgage the future. I am prepared to move pieces along to offset some of my deficiencies, yes. But to go into and trade 2 of the top 100 MLB prospects, not Phillies prospects, MLB's top 100 prospects for a closer that will help you. Absolutely. Is he going to start too? If he starts, maybe. I don't know. But a closer who can help you, and he will. But is that where the essence of the problem lies? Could you have not spread the wealth around a little bit and got a bat for out of the deal? Could the Twins have not thrown in a sweetener player? Give me an offensive guy. I don't know who. Buxton. There you go. Throw him in there. So no, absolutely not. And then the reasoning that we are stuck a lot of times, and again, it's Ruben Amaro's fault. It's a lot of GMs that have come before Dombrowski or people in charge of personnel. It's because they didn't have the foresight to look at maintaining some of the pieces in the minor league system. Now, I know, Steve, you're a Phillies fan, and I'm sure you were cheering heavily and mightily back in 2008 when the Phillies won the World Series. But if it wasn't for the awareness of Ed Wade and the stubbornness of Ed Wade, not to get the move off of prospects by the name of Chase Utley, Cole Hamels, and Ryan Howard, we don't have 2008. No one wants to bring up that moment where the prospects weren't traded for the trade deadline move. We don't talk about that. We just want to, we're all in. Let's push it all in. But if Ed Wade makes those trades, and the pressure, I remember back in, we talked about it on my show last night, the pressure that we endured during that 02, 03 time, around when the Phillies transition was kind of kicking in, Ed Wade was under immense pressure to trade away this kid named Utley, this kid named Howard, the kid named Hamels. Get rid of these guys. They're prospects. They ain't going to amount to nothing. Bring me, I always forget the goddamn kid's name. What was the pitcher from the Rays? I'll think of it in a second. But that was what they wanted. And he wouldn't do it. And the result of that was the greatest era of Phillies baseball, probably in the history of the organization, from 7 to 11. So I'll take that philosophy over your push it all in and let's gamble on something any day of the week. That's just how I feel, man. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think it's negligent. Twins first one are Crawford and Painter and Miller. Were you in the room, Joe? Is Joe Hale reporting firsthand information? What for the reliever? My God, he didn't make that trade. My head would have exploded. Oh man. If the Phillies traded for Quan, him and his 291 average would be batting 6th, 7th, 8th in the lineup. It's up to not Rob. Yeah. I get it. The X factor exists with Rob Thompson 100%. And we'll see what Thompson does with Duran and what he would have done potentially with Steven Kwan. I don't know. Maybe is that trade dead? Because they are done making moves. That's what concerns me. I don't know if they're done making moves. And who's next? Who is next? Who's on the chopping block next? Gene Cabrera, is your name being called? Are you the next contestant on you're getting traded? You know, is Miller, is Crawford, Painter, are they out of the woods officially? Keaton Anthony, Gabe Racones Jr., Devin Saltman, are those names off the table? You're right, Steve. They're probably not. And yes, tomorrow will bring on new frustrations for me because they're going to get rid of some other prospects that could or could not work out. And you got a great point there. But I'm not going to cut off my nose just to spite my face. I'm going to wait and see how these guys work out. Keep an eye on Eduardo Tait. Keep an eye on him. He's not going to yield anything this year. Potentially at 27, 28 is when he'll yield something. Keep an eye on him. Matty, I totally agree with you. Don't score enough runs. That's why I get mad when we pile on runs in the blowouts. And and that masks a lot of the problems, I guess. I told you Abel was out of our future plans once he got exposed. We still have Painter. I'd like to see him on the Phillies next year. I think he will. I don't think he's got much of a choice. I think next year Painter will be here. But as far as Abel goes, he saved his career. He turned it around. 6 years in the minor leagues. Listen, again, am I sitting here like lamenting over McAbel getting traded? Not really. Not really. No, because I think he's a project. Again, there's something to a 13th overall pick that's in the minors for 6 years. And I don't care. I know it takes some players long enough to develop. I go to Gavin Floyd a lot with that. But, and maybe it works out for him in Minnesota. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the pressure now is off of him. Maybe now he can go to a small market team like the Twins and just kind of go through his paces. But I don't have heartburn off, necessarily off of the McAbel portion of this trade. Duran, closer, Kerkering, eighth. Duran, closer, Kerkering, eighth. Strom, seventh. I'm not digging Strom in seventh inning, but you know what? I guess I can live with it. But don't put Strom anywhere near the eighth inning. Amaro and Clintack, those two. Yeah, they did a number on this team. They did. Fresh out of my first duty station for those watching when they win in 08. LOL. See, I was in Iraq actually when they won in 08. But if Ed Wade bowed to the pressure of the Steve Fenentezes of the world, and who in the hell was that pitcher? Everybody wanted him. He ended up going to the Mets in like the summer of 02 or 03. I remember getting drunk one night in Bethlehem when the trade broke. I was drinking at a hotel. What the hell I was doing there? It was a Holiday Inn in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. What the hell was I doing there? And why was I in Bethlehem? Anyway, now that just jumped into my mind. I was drunk as hell that night when that trade happened. Anyway, every time I think of this kid's name, it jumps out of my brain. But I'll remember it again. But he was under a lot of pressure to make those trades, and he didn't. Phillies were never close to winning in 2000, 2005. That's why he didn't trade those guys. Barbara, he knew it. A lot of the fan base knew it, but there was a big portion of the fan base that was like, we're tired of not making the playoffs. Don't forget, it wasn't about winning World Series back then. It was about just getting to the damn playoffs. And people were concerned, or not concerned, they were frustrated. Listen, make a trade, make a run. Let's get to the playoffs and see what happens. Now we're talking World Series because it's a different era, different time, whatever. But I don't know if you remember that time, but he took heat. And now this weekend, he's going to be lauded as a champion when he goes into the Wall of Fame. But he had to do what's right, man. Do you think Otto Kemp is our future plans? What position will he play? I think he's the future on the bench. I honestly do. If anywhere, he's going to be on the bench. I think he's definitely with the team for the rest of this season, especially with some of the injury issues. But as far as like a future piece, he might be a trade piece in the offseason, but I could see him being part of the bench next year. I can definitely see that 100%. Lee Thomas. All right, let's get back to the game. Good God, man. I totally forgot I was doing this game. So let's go to the box score tonight. Putrid effort by the Phillies offensively. 3 runs on 8 hits, no errors. The White Sox pounded out 9 runs on 17 hits, but they did commit an error. For the Phillies offensively, I guess we have to go to Brandon Marsh. 2 for 4 tonight with a run scored, a RBI, and a home run late to kind of make it a little bit more respectable than 9-2. Other than that, he was the only multiple hit guy in the lineup. Bryce Harper was 1 for 4. And the only home run we hit was him. So Phillies were just bad. For the White Sox, it was Tauchman had 3 hits. You had Sosa with 2 hits. Teal had 2 hits. Luis Robert had himself a series this week, didn't he? Rose up that batting average to 213 against the Phillies. He had 3 hits tonight. Montgomery with the second of the 2 3-run home runs by the Braves. Cuero with 3 RBIs. They kind of got up on the Phillies and they ran them pretty bad. For the Phillies, they were 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They left 6 on base. Bryson Stott grounded into a double play. No stolen base attempts. No stolen bases recorded. The White Sox were 0 for 2. They were 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. 7 runners left on base. They did not ground into any double plays. Pitching, we kind of went over the pitching. Scoring summary, Teal would get things rolling for the White Sox in the second inning after a massive long rain delay of about 3.5, 4 hours. It was 1-0 in the second. Castellanos would knock in Harper to make it 1-1 in the top of the fourth. The Phillies storming back, and they take the lead on the Otto Kemp single, driving in Castellanos to make it 2-1 Phillies. But then it was all the White Sox. Montgomery with the homer to make it 2-2. Then Sosa would knock in Tauchman to make it 3-2. Vargas with the 3-run shot. Cuero with the 3-run shot, and then Marsh would round out the scoring in the ninth, 9-3. White Sox are the winners. Phillies fall to 61-47 now on the season, and for the month of July, 11-12. But we got our closer. We got the closer. Can't blame this loss on Walker. It's August. Harper has 45 RBIs. I can blame it on Walker. He gives up way too many home runs. Listen, 80-some pitches through 5 innings. I can blame it on Walker. I'm not blaming it fully on Walker. You know me. I'm not going to pin this on the pitching. But the offense didn't do anything, and it's criminal that Walker's still in the rotation. It really is. It's criminal. And now, who's the safety net? Who's the next up? Does Michael Mercado get another chance to come back up here and be a starter? Are we back down to that carousel of 5th starters like we were last year? I'm not necessarily going to blame him, but Parker got robbed of a homer today. Yeah, well, guess what? Second place, there's no points. I noticed we got a good call again when Marsh threw the ball away. Yeah. Sometimes it works out in weird places for the Phillies. All right, let's get over to the Broad Street bottom line. All right, Broad Street bottom line. It's really kind of a redundant point for me all season long. It's just that I need more consistent offense. I can't, once again, we lived by the home run tonight. We died by it. We hit 1, they hit 4. And then we did nothing else offensively. I'm not saying that this was our night, and they could have. I'm sure the pitching wasn't there really, but just the ineptitude of this offensive lineup when it's not working, and it doesn't work more than it works, right? I mean, it doesn't work more than it works, and it's just we got to be better. You got to be better. You got to be more consistent, and we're running out of time, man. This race in the National League is getting tighter by the day, and the Phillies are starting to fall behind in this race. And you finish up the month of July less than 500. This is not the time of the year for me to be sitting here saying these things for about a World Series contender. This is a conversation we should be having in April and May, not in July or August. All right. In July and August, it's supposed to be, full systems go. And you get caught up in these games every now and again, but this is too much of the same thing over and over and over again for this Phillies offense. And Steve Fuentes adequately put it, who said they're done making moves? And, I don't know. That's a great question. And God be with us if he's not done making moves. God, man. Because, it's the funny thing about the Phillies is nobody's getting traded from the team. You know that, right? Like, there's no current Phillies players moving addresses. It's all prospects. So if another move is coming, it's more prospects going. There's nobody from the actual 25-man roster getting traded, or 26. What is it, 26-man roster getting traded? There isn't. Nobody. Not a one. Every single one of them is safe. It's the going down into the minor leagues and continuing to pilfer from our system. We've lost everything at catcher, have no catching depth at all. For those of you that miss Garrett Stubbs, you might get your wish and see him sooner than later. He might be starting next year. Garrett Stubbs might be the man. They got to make him a beer case chest protector and beer case shin guards next season, because he might be the guy if the Phillies don't want to pay Realmuto and all that. So somebody contact the Phillies for me and ask them what their philosophy, what's the mission statement of the Phillies when it comes to developing catching talent. I want to know, because boy, they don't seem to give a damn about it, man. Not a damn. But my broad street bottom line really is just, you got to be better, man. You got to be better. You got to be more consistent. I'm tired of talking about it over and over and over again offensively. Will you be back on normal time tomorrow? Tomorrow, day 2. Yes, I should be. Yes. Barring any rain, I'll be back. I have a 3:30 game right now. So, yeah, I should be back. So Kepler gets hurt. Does Crawford get called up? I've stopped making any kind of projections about Justin Crawford. To me, there's no reason why he's not here now. I don't see a reason why he's not here now. I don't know. And I don't know what they might be concocting. Justin Crawford might not be a Philly this time tomorrow night. There's a possibility. And it's probably a bigger possibility than any one of you are, to include me, or willing to admit to. Because I need a trade kind of on these lines for offensive pieces now. And they're not going to come cheap. And I don't know who you target, honestly. Offensively, I don't know who you target, because I don't see any of the names out there that, that I target. But I am concerned that Justin Crawford, Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, Gabriel Cones Jr., Keaton Anthony, Devin Saltivant, just to name a few, may not be Phillies 24 hours from now. And that scares me, man. That really does. Is there going to be more trades tomorrow, but no blockbusters, I think? You might be right about that. I think Dombrowski did his blockbuster trade. And is this characterized as a blockbuster? I mean, it fits a need, right? And we gave up some pretty hefty projected pieces there. I guess it classifies as a blockbuster. But there's got to be another move, right? There's got to be an offensive move coming, correct? Dave Dombrowski can't be thinking, this is it. I've solved the problem. I've cracked the code. It was a closer. Hope not. The 10:30-11 is a sweet time slot for me anyway. Well, that's good, Barbara, because that's usually when I'm here, is around 10 o'clock. Usually. In any other organization, Crawford be up, but the Phillies, Crawford might be a 45-year-old rookie. He might be. Like Greg Dobbs. Remember that guy? All right, let's head over now to, it's time to do scores. Yeah, let's do the scores. Let's go around the bases. All right, round the bases on this Wednesday night. Wow. Games that have gone final, it was 9-8 Blue Jays over the Orioles. It was 7-2 Tigers over the Diamondbacks. 13-1 Red Sox all over Mick Abel and Eduardo Tait's new team, the Twins, 13-1. It was 1-0 Royals over the Braves, and 10-3 Cubs over Brewers, 9-1 Astros over the Nationals, 2-1 Pirates over the Giants, 5-0 Padres over the Mets. So we didn't lose any ground tonight. 5-0 Guardians over the Rockies, and it was 5-4 Yankees over the Rays, 5-2 Reds over Dodgers, 2-0 Marlins beat the Cardinals. Games that are still ongoing, you got 6-1 Rangers over the Angels in the 7th, or top of the 6th, sorry, and 4-3 A's over the Mariners in the bottom of the 7th. A quick peek at the standings on this Wednesday night. Good God. Let's go here. And the Mets still hold a half-game lead over the Phillies currently in the National League East. And it's the Brewers holding service by a game over the Cubs. And out west, it's the Dodgers by 3 over the Padres. Wild card-wise, in the National League. Cubs, Phillies, and Padres are all in the wild card right now, with the Reds 3 games back and the Cardinals 5.5. In the American League, we'll see a wild card first. The Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners are your wild cards right now, with the Rangers a game back and Cleveland 3 games back. Kansas City's only 3.5, and so is Tampa. So, and then LA. I mean, you got to look at the Angels here, 4 games back. Plus, they may have some expectations of making the playoffs. American League East, the Blue Jays 4 games ahead of the Yankees. The Tigers 9 games, pretty much sewed that thing up over the Guardians, and it is the Astros 4.5 lead over the Mariners, and that is where we stand on this final Phillies day in the month of July. Tigers, of course, will be in town Friday, and your pitching matchup for that for Alumni Weekend. For those of you that did not know that, Alumni Weekend is this weekend. On Friday, you will have Jack Flattery against Ranger Suarez, and circle this one on your calendar, folks. Saturday game, which was a 4:05 start time. Scooble will go up against Zach Wheeler. That's going to be a hell of a pitching matchup down there at the bank, as the reigning AL Cy Young Award winner might be pitching against the future NL Cy Young Award winner. So we'll see how that works out for the Phillies for them over the weekend. And here's your Fightin's final lineup for this coming weekend. It is going to be Al on Friday. It's the City Connect game. And that'll be me on Saturday and Sunday. Pat is still dealing with the the computer help desk people as he's working out his internet issues. So I will be coming at you double duty on Saturday and Sunday for the Tiger series. So bear with me over the weekend. And Saturday's going to be a must-see. Scuba versus Wheeler. Yes, I agree, Barbara. This has read my mind, man. Mets are still looking for a bat. Yeah, they are. Mets keep losing, but so do the Phillies. Otani got hurt again. I saw that too. Acuna got hurt too, but he only, pulled a hamstring or something like that? Soreness? No ACL problem. Phillies play the Tigers at home this weekend. The Phillies need to win 2 out of 3. And it's not going to be easy, man. I mean, the Tigers ain't no joke. It's going to be a really good series. Is it a watermark series for everybody? Is it a potential World Series preview? I don't know. Is our closer going to be in action? I imagine he'll be in the lineup Friday, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a very fun weekend. Alumni weekend. Phillies have been on the road for a minute. Tigers, the rejuvenated Detroit Tigers are here. It's definitely going to be a very fun baseball weekend. If those of you that are not have tickets, I suggest you try to find your way to that game or any of those games. But it should be a fun weekend down there at the bank. A lot of festivities. I know Joe Hale will be taking in some of those festivities for Alumni Weekend. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend of baseball. It's always a fun weekend of baseball. And no matter where you're at, Sundays and night. Yeah, Sunday night is also the ESPN game. They flexed that to the ESPN game a few weeks ago. So for those of you that are keeping score at home, you got a night game Friday, a twilight. It's not twilight, late afternoon game on Saturday, and a night game on Sunday. So make sure you're setting your watches correctly. Verlander might be traded tomorrow, I've heard. Man, what's he going to get? What do you pay for Justin Verlander? Good question. All right, folks, listen, busy night here on the Fightin's Final. Busy night for the Phillies. The 9-3 loss, somewhat overshadowed by the trade today that the Phillies have acquired Johan Duran from the Minnesota Twins, their closer, and going to Minnesota is Mick Abel and Eduardo Tait, both highly touted prospects, both in the Phillies farm system and in the MLB pipeline. As I think the Phillies set a record tonight. They traded 2 top 100 prospects for the first time that's ever happened in one trade in like 20 years. So it's a dangerous game you play. And I know there's 2 different sides of these coins. Everyone's going to have their opinion about it. I like to err on the side of balance, not necessarily hoarding players, stockpiling them, and not using them for potential trade, destinations, but balance. And that is one thing that the Phillies minor league system has not historically had. They've had no balance. They've had periods of yielding versus periods of drought. And there's got to be a balance somewhere there. And yes, I don't care who you're. I don't care what you say. I'm not ever going to be into mortgaging the future. And Steve, man, you're a soldier, or used to be a soldier, dude. There's more. One battle doesn't win the war, and you gotta logistically prepare for a siege. And so I'm never going to throw all my chips in the middle of the table and say it's win now or never, because that's how you win 2 world championships in 143 years, because you have that mentality, in my opinion. But on paper, right now in 2025, this is not a bad trade. This is not a trade that you should lose sleep over. Now, you might lose some sleep over it in 2028 or 2027, but not today. And there's concerns about the organizational's catching depth. Absolutely. A lot of concern about that. Nick Abel maybe just needs that change of scenery to kind of refocus himself. I wasn't feeling comfortable or confident in where he was headed here. A long time in the minor leagues. Too long for a kid drafted in the first round, the top 15, in my opinion. So, and we get a bona fide closer for the next 2 years at least. So this could be a building block piece for the future. And maybe that was key to this deal, was retaining a player that had some control for more than just 1 year. So he is not a rental. He is absolutely not a rental player. So yeah, you got to factor that into. But is this something that's going to save us in 2025? Is this the missing piece, to get us over the hump? I doubt it. I don't think it is, but it could be a step in that right direction for the future. The future beyond 2025, when we have assets potentially. So, more trades may be coming. I don't know. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. And night. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see. God be with us all. Does Andrew Painter, end the day tomorrow somewhere else? I mean, he had a really good start today. He really did. He was labored a little bit, 101 pitches through 6 innings. I watched the game. It was on. But he had a really good quality start. Shutout. Didn't give up any runs. And pitching in like 90-degree heat on the field, or air temperature, I think on the field it was maybe close to 100. So he really showed some endurance today. Had to battle his way out of a few sticky situations. Have we seen the last of Andrew Painter in a Phillies uniform or a Phillies prospect uniform? So we'll see. We have one more day until the trade deadline will cease, and this will probably be the best day of all. Kind of keep an eye on that. And don't forget all the great programming here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Tomorrow night, no baseball, but we do have the Attacking Third with Steve Fuentes. And I don't know if Pat, Steve, if you're on still, is Pat coming in tomorrow? Are you running solo? How are you working that? Maybe I should know these things, which I don't. Friday night is the 10:30 wraparound with Pat Bernard. Tonight with Mike Lauro this week will be in for Pat. And then on Sunday at 9 is Mike Lauro, Pat Bernard, and Al. I don't know if this is going to be Mike and Al, as they'll give you the PNM and the AM program. And one more time, this is your Fightings final for the weekend series against the Tigers. Al on Friday, me on Saturday and Sunday, in for Pat Bernard. So stay tuned. And then the final word should be back tomorrow night, as we'll reach deeper into this. And maybe we'll be talking about other trades. Maybe we'll review all the trades in Major League Baseball over the past 24 hours and potentially lay down new expectations. Who knows? But make sure you're tuned in for us. That tomorrow night should be on around normal time at 10. I don't anticipate being delayed, but you never know. So until we talk again tomorrow, you guys have a great rest of your night and a better tomorrow. And we'll see you.